Shalakia. It's gonna have to be a part two to the first video. I was speaking on how I was talking about in the book of Ecclesiasticus and the book of Sirach, talking about spirits being made for vengeance, and basically that Edomite that shot up that grocery store and shot all those Jakes. That was a spirit created for vengeance that the Lord Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua used to enact His judgment, His will. This is the book of Sirach, chapter 39. The book of Ecclesiasticus and the book of Sirach, chapter 39. Point is verse 28. It says, "There be spirits that are created for vengeance, which in their fury lay on sore strokes. In the time of destruction they pour out their force and appease the wrath of Him that made them." So the Most High Yahweh Shem Yahushua has created certain spirits for vengeance. You know, brothers used to equate that character Ghost Rider from Marvel Comics as that spirit of vengeance. You know, I believe he's even mentioned as a spirit of vengeance. But you know, he was sent as a spirit to enact the wrath of Shantan, the spiritual demon Shantan, onto those that he deemed to punish. And when you truly understand the scriptures, you know that the Most High, you know Shantan, who you people ignorantly call Satan, Shantan in the Hebrew, the spiritual demon Satan, literally, he basically works for the Most High. Verse 29, fire and hail, famine and death, all these were created for vengeance. And when you read, what's that? 2nd Ezra 16 talks about this 2nd Ezra 16 verse 18, the beginning of sorrows and great mournings, the beginning of famine and great death, the beginning of wars, and the power shall stand in fear. That's meaning these elites, because they're trying to basically bring order out of chaos. They're trying to have a control. They're trying to have a controlled collapse of the system, but in actuality, the system isn't going to be. Although, you know, they say that, you know, chaos actually has a pattern to it. When you go into the Joker, he was a spirit of chaos. You know what I mean? And it show you. Look at that, how that just happened. Anyhow, like if you ever watched that Joker with the guy Phoenix, I can never pronounce his first name, but River Phoenix, brother, he basically how everything was set up to play out at a certain time, you know what I mean? Because it was all spiritual. You know, at the end of the day, when you get to understanding Batman, because most of these comic books are esoteric, period, pretty much anyway. When you go into like how the elders go into, you had the two Amalekites that created Superman. When you go into Superman, Kal-El, you know, which is Hebrew, and you know, and then it also goes into the sun god, because that's why he got his energy and his strength from the sun. You know, a lot of this place is not what you think it is. But it says, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish. Well, it says, Salakia, back in verse 18, it says, and the power shall stand in fear, the beginning of evils, what shall I do when these evils shall come? And in Ezekiel chapter 7, it talks about evil has come, and only evil, roughly paraphrased, and evil going into meaning a compound word meaning bad times. And you about to see bad times. You know, you got a lot of, again, death and violence increasing in the earth, as well as you got these manufactured food famines, and this inflation affecting everyone. And you know, you got a lot of people being basically falling out of work. They talking about laying people off again. I just recently just seen that. You got people literally there's a lot going on. It says, verse 19, behold, famine and plague, tribulation and anguish are sent as scourges for amendment. Verse 20, but for all these things they shall not turn from their wickedness, nor be always mindful of the scourges. So, the Most High created certain things for to correct the people, especially 2/3 of our people. But it says a scourge is basically like a whip, and amendment is to create change or to change. But it says, but for all these things, for all these scourges, people will not basically turn from their wickedness. Especially 2/3 of our people. That's why they shall be destroyed. And like I said, I often reference when I use the scripture about how during the pandemic, when everything was locked down, people were kind of worried, shamefaced, afraid, nervous. But as soon as they opened everything back up, people were lulled back to sleep, not understanding what these devils are intending on doing. Like if the UN is basically taking away the sovereignty of all these different nations, that's letting you know that you about to see these blue hats in a city near you. And people don't think it's far-fetched, but why is it far-fetched? The elite pretty much have, they made they profit off of this place. This place is, is done for. And all these, it made me think of another scripture because, it talks about how great misery is going to happen on the planet because these people have walked in great pride. And who are the proudest people on the planet? These red Hebrew Edomites that dwell in America. This is the book of 2 Ezra, chapter 8, verse 50. For many great miseries shall be done to them that in the latter time shall dwell in the world because they have walked in great pride. It tells you in the book of Proverbs chapter 6 that the Most High God hateth the proud. It's one of the main things he hates. Yeah, it's a Saturday night. You got all these Edomites walking around. You got 2/3 of our people walking around amongst this shit too. Not knowing that, it talks about to be in a house of mourning rather than in mirth. But again, the people, are all about, they committed to pleasures. I got one last scripture. Because in the last days, it told you about how people's going to be, and that's what people don't really care about. People don't care about, even our own people that, because I'm a Jake, you would think our people would empathize with one another, but they don't. Yeah, people are so stuck in their own little bubble when, like, for instance, we all being affected by inflation, but yet and still you got people that don't really, it's just like I was telling this stupid ass 2/3. He up there like, oh, it's always been protests, it's always been this, it's always been that. But you've never had this many people upset about so many different things. You've never had this many bubbles. You got a housing bubble, a car bubble. You got a whole basically chip basically shortage. That's why they try to say that the new cars are so expensive because of the fact that it's supposed to be a major chip shortage, and all the newer cars need chips to actually run. This is the book of Salakia. This is the book of 2 Timothy chapter 3, verse 1. This know also that in the last days perilous times shall come, for men shall be lovers of their own selves, meaning selfish, vain, covetous, boasters, proud, blasphemers, disobedient to parents, unthankful, unholy, without natural affection, truce breakers, false accusers, incontent, fierce, despisers of those that are good, traitors, heady, high-minded, lovers of pleasures more than lovers of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahshua. Having a form of godliness, but denying the power thereof, from such turn away. And the point is going into how these people are going to be. When you read the scripture, you can see the state of the individuals that you walk past in Babylon the Great, aka America, on a day-to-day basis. I mean, proof of that is when the brother Karamov brought out about in New York when you had the female that got raped on the subway, and she was amongst. It was like it wasn't just her and the rapist. It was her and train full of people, and nobody lifted a finger to help or anything. And that's a hell of a judgment. You would think a woman wouldn't be as proud because that didn't happen in a third world country. That happened right here, and it's supposed to be this great city and state of America. Right now in California, they're having water shortages. They're making you ration water because it's a drought out there. Yeah, still though, you thinking you live in the number one country in the world. Yeah, I just argue with a nigga about the number one country in the world. Hey, nigga, you gotta literally take a ration. That happens in third world countries. That doesn't happen. Do you realize what they doing with these high as electrical bills? That's the point been made. Like I said, with all these different calamities, with all these different outside vices, with these high ass bills, this inflation, people gonna keep on more and more snapping. Esau Edom, this red Hebrew Edomite that we know as the fucking devil, he is literally gonna get upset because he sees his kingdom falling apart, and what he gonna do? He gonna resort to what he been doing, for years on years. When shit don't go right, what do? They attack Jake. They did it back in times with Black Wall Street and the Black Building Chicago and Rosewood, and they gonna do it again. That's why the scriptures talk about in Revelations 12:12, and the devil should come down with great wrath because he knoweth that he have but a short time. So these devils gonna get even more violent. If you're so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, commandments of Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. And with that, I hope this lesson was edifying. I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to call Allah Yamla Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahushua Ba'ashem. No honors to the apostles and to the elders, the great millstone who do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing the truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and the freedom to do so now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwat and the Yakim up there listening and learning. Lord willingly, this was edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. Till next time I'm able to come with another lesson. Shalom, shalom. Shalom.